Hi there. Good morning. I'm Aimee and I'm going to lead you through a morning meditation. You can do it really any time of day, but the morning is powerful before life starts coming at you and other people start talking, and most of all, your own chatter in your head, like the merry-go-round or Metallica concert of that. Meditation early on in the day has an opportunity to benefit you and reach you when it's still kind of quiet. This meditation this morning is going to be very different. I've been teaching meditation for a number of years. I've had a meditation practice inspired and taught by Baron Baptiste for about 12 years. It's probably saved my life. Meditation has probably saved my life because it has saved my sanity. For all my life, I struggled with a trauma history that always kind of had me in the trenches of PTSD and severe anxiety, and just a debilitating fright to be in the moment. So I love that I actually am offering anything to anybody else out there, because I wish so badly I had had this long before I found it. Because I've had a experience with meditation that's kind of broken in and worn in, and I'm familiar and used to it, people might think that I don't struggle. And I'm doing this meditation this morning specifically for people who struggle to sit still to meditate. I want you to know, my friend, I am still just as human as anyone else out there, still just as human as you. And when I have really overwhelming experiences or jarring experiences in my life, I feel nervous and anxious, like I did way back when, to sit still. And even if it's just a little bit of discomfort, or, it's sort of a, if I sit still, what's going to happen? And sometimes I'll have life experiences that'll feel like if I sit still, the ceiling will come crashing down, or something catastrophic will happen. That's that old residual energy for me of PTSD. So, whether you have experienced PTSD or not, or you just struggle to sit still, we're going to hopefully offer you something that helps you to just consider being still for just a few minutes this morning. Sit comfortably, sit cross-legged, if that's comfortable, or find a chair. If you lay down in your bed or on the couch or the floor, it's probably fine, but if you feel yourself relaxed enough that you'll get sleepy, that's not what we're going for. We're looking for relaxed, but not hyper. Just a little more internal feeling of being settled at the end of this, okay? From wherever you began. So sitting comfortably, I'd put something underneath your buttocks so that your hips will be higher than your knees. That will help take discomfort and strain out of the low back. You want to set your meditation up so it feels good in your body, and take the time to do that and explore that. Once you find your position that feels good, that you can manage, you want to think about just bringing your shoulders over your hips. You want to think about like the vertebrae in your spine all stacked up on top of each other like coins. And then just move your shoulders back so they're out of the way. Bring your hands together by bringing all 10 fingertips to touch. You want space between the center of each palm. So just the fingertips to touch, okay? Rest your arms on your thighs. I have my arms resting on a pillow. Please exhale out. Please bring your focus to just taking a slow breath in. Please open your mouth and very slowly but steadily move the air through. What I wish I had known way back when was that if I take in a breath and I hold my breath, and then I'm up in my head of my thinking, and if my thoughts are frightening or I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm overwhelmed, etc., it brings on that anxiety, like anxiety is on the way. And then my breathing is also held up or just halted altogether. Because when we're in our head and our thoughts are stressful, fearful, outraged, etc., we aren't remembering to exhale. So one of the things you can know is to pay attention to, am I exhaling out? When you get all the air out, it immediately puts more space, therefore ease in your lungs to take a breath in. You want to take the breath in slow. And then you want to just open your mouth and move, let the air just move out of you, through you. As soon as you start to slow down your breathing, you start to slow down any hurry, any flurry, any racing thoughts. When that happens, you start making a connection to the body. The breath is the connection between the mind and body. You want to make those exhales longer and slower because the exhales are kicking you over into the part of your nervous system that feels more grounded, more calm, more settled. When we hold our breath and we're not aware of it, we're in the energy of stimulating a fight or flight response. And it's all going on internally, like an internal alarm, like a code red, depending on a situation or our thoughts about a situation, etc. So I'm looking to teach you this so you have knowledge that you can assimilate and utilize for yourself to start bringing your own nervous system into a more settled, grounded place. From within, feeling safer from within, everything outside of you will feel better. Breath in. On this exhalation, just make an ah sound with me. Never feel foolish or silly about that like I always did. And then one day I just got it. Like inside myself, I felt more of an ah in mind when I did that. So the sound is so powerful. The sound of a soothing will start calming down your body. Because it'll start moving you into awareness of, oh, maybe I don't need to be in a fight or flight space. And if we have lived in a fight or flight experience for a while, especially if you're very empathic and therefore sensitive to that energy, it's so distressing. It is so goddamn depleting. And I'm asking you to join me into shifting out of that, so that you can literally start knowing you have it in you to shut off your own fight or flight response mechanism in your own body. And we'll do it together. Breath in. Drop your eyes right to your thumb tips touching. If you could gather all your concentration in a bundle and channel it, funnel it into thumb tips touching, and you feel your thumb tips touching. Notice I did not say think if your thumb tips are touching, because that's putting you back in your head. But this meditation of focusing on thumb tips will move you more towards being in your body. And you'll feel if the thumb tips are touching, because they'll feel tingly or warm. You'll feel a pulsation. You'll feel something that says, wow, there's an energy there that's alive. Now take your thumb tips apart and then try to funnel your focus to the thumbs. And just be with my voice so you are better able perhaps to be with yourself. Now bring your thumb tips together. And you're not pressing them together hard. It's really, you're just enough so you just feel physically, yep, they're together. And then you start to notice, wow, there is a connection there because I feel it. And all the while you're focusing on your thumbs. And then you're going to start to give your brain permission, your thinking mind, if it was like a merry-go-round, give it permission to slow down and come to a stop. You'll have the rest of your day to think, Right now, just give it permission to slow down. Envision it like a merry-go-round mind. Round and round and round. It's such a small fishbowl. The way we can think is such a small fishbowl. Because it can be the same over and over and over. Just give yourself permission to focus on your thumbs. And unconsciously and also consciously, permission to let the merry-go-round of mind with monkeys jumping all around, perhaps. I have a thing about monkeys and gorillas. I don't know why. But let it all just come to a stop. As you're focusing on thumb tips, breath in. As you really allow all the breathing to move out, like really move out, like clean and clear. There can be a nervousness to let go like that, but I'm with you. And somehow I know you out there are with me. And you recognize, wow, if I really let my breath go, it's my only ticket to a freedom of a fuller, calmer, relaxed breath to find me. And then I take that breath in, and all the while I'm beaming my focus into my thumbs. And I'm taking that breath in, which is going to give me increased oxygen. And And I just slowly exhale it and send it through. And it's like the breath is like this silent partner that bands my mind to my thumb tips. And then you're very slowly just dropping your eyes to land officially and completely on your first fingers touching. You can take the fingertips apart just a little bit, just a little bit. And then you can start to move them closer toward each other and then just let them fuse together. And then you'll feel that connection. And if you're like, oh, I felt it, but then I didn't feel it, that's so normal. Like, you're so normal. And if your mind has been so all over the place for a while, it's so normal and totally fine. If you're able to focus for just a moment and then you're kind of out again, just notice that you're out. Notice when you're checked out and just check back in. Add no more story to it, and definitely keep your judgmental opinion about it, how you're doing in this meditation. Leave it out of it. Keep it really neutral. First fingers are physically touching, and there where they're touching, the wisdom of the body knows that feeling, that connection. It is totally normal for the mind to take a little time syncing up and going, yep, I feel it. Yep, I feel it. How do you know? How do you know your first fingers are touching? Oh, because I feel it. And yet, if your mind trails off, it's probably just used to having a lot of thoughts bouncing in and bouncing out. And just keep inviting your merry-go-round of mind with all the monkeys jumping from ride to ride. Just give it all permission to slow down and come to a stop. You can ride the merry-go-round the rest of today if you want to choose to pick it back up. Or you can start to say, wow, peace, solitude, oh, oh, what a relief it is. And allow yourself to receive relief. Allow yourself to receive, wow, I can sit with myself. I am safe. Bring your focus completely into your middle fingers touching. Take your fingers apart if you wish. You can take them wide apart and then see, can I still beam my focus into the tips of my middle fingers as if they were connected to a center line? You may struggle with that because they're not together. Or as you start to get calmer and quieter in mind, and we're just building on that. It's nothing to perfect. You didn't have to have this all figured out with me when you sat here. Just building slow and easy, okay? Bring your middle fingers to touch. All your concentration goes to your middle fingers. Breath in. Empty the breath out all the way, but slow and long. You're channeling all the attention, gather it, and deliver it to the middle fingers. while everything else in your mind starts to become simple background noise that you don't add any more meaning to, which will empower you to have a little healthy detachment from it. As you take the breathing out further down the lungs, you're bringing the breath further into the body. That's going to have you know you're really connected, not just to the middle fingers, connected to your body, yourself, in this moment. It can be so frightening if you've ever struggled with an experience that traumatized you, frightened you. It can be so frightening to feel it's safe to come back, like it's safe to come back in. And so if we typically feel, we've just kind of have that as an unconscious, subtle, or, a deeper anxiety, we'll always be wanting to check out. We'll always be looking for an escape hatch. How can I get away from this? How can I get away from this? And yet, life is constantly inviting us back in. Your middle fingers are touching. For so many years of my life, and I'm speaking really humbly here, I'll probably tear up, but you deserve to know this. For so many years of my life, I had had an extreme experience early on in age that terrified me in every other arena. To be okay in my own skin, to be in the room fully, to use my voice, to be a stand for what was so important to me if it meant somebody else was going to turn on me or fight me. And because I was so frightened to show up to that, I got so much opposition, and I never got braver in it. I didn't know what to do, so I shut down. I couldn't manage it. I was very empathic to the energies of, criticism and anger and severe, abrupt, come out of nowhere rejection, disapproval, the whole thing. And it put me on a constant ride in my life to never touch the ground. And so meditation and yoga, a lot of being in nature, and these are practices that over time made me feel safer in mind to come back down, to come back into my body. And I never knew how to manage those energies before. I never had a skill set for that. I never took a home study course on that. And so I froze. And that's a response in the nervous system. Fight, flight, freeze. And then we are so gripped that we don't know how to deal. And we need an escape, whether that's sleep, whether that's excessive alcohol, whether that's food, whether that's just whatever we can do. There's so many ways that we can come up with to get out. I am with you and inviting you to come back in, because I recognize that, and it took me all this time to realize this, until I decided to just take a breath out which would give me a feeling of it's going to be okay, or it gave me a feeling of empowerment in the moments I was so scared. A power in me started showing back up. And I realized my life was inviting me back in, because without my presence, I would always be afraid in life. And I'm talking a fear and a fright that sometimes could immobilize me to get out the front door. I'm talking about an anxiety that would immobilize me to go up to the drive-thru many years ago and order a cheeseburger from McDonald's. That's the kind of anxiety that seized me for so long. And I move out of that story tearfully relieved and grateful for these tools. Bring your focus to your third fingers touching. Take them apart. When you start to connect to your fingers a little more, you start to recognize, wow, you want that connection. Like, you crave that connection, right? Like, you don't really want them to stay apart. You're like, come on, come back together, because you know that that connection just feels right. And when the mind is quiet and able to be present, when you're able to be mind and body present, it empowers you to know what feels right, who feels right, and what doesn't. Third fingers touching. And it's so simple, you know? Bundle all your thoughts and just funnel them. Envision a funnel and beam them straight to the bottom of the funnel and drop into the third fingers. Just appreciate how simple the third fingers come together. Appreciate how, wow, both need to come together. It's not just one. Like, it's not just the right third finger that's got all of it. Like, it's not the right third finger that's the total package. It's not the left third finger. It's when they come together. And when they come together, you can feel it. Like, I can feel it right now. Like, it alleviates my mind, because I guess it gives me an anchor. It gives me an anchor. It gives my mind, my thinking mind, an anchor to come off that crazy ass merry-go-round and all the monkeys jumping all over, pulling me here, pulling me there. No, the third finger's touching, funnels and begins to rebuild and re-employ, strengthen a knowing of that togetherness. And if I just channel into that, like, wow, it gives me direction. In a foggy mind, a dull mind, or a mind that's just like a tsunami, you know? We can't find direction. I'm looking to give you a tool that offers you direction, clarity, alertness, but not hyper. And relaxed, but not sloth-like. Like, not where you're just kind of like in the mud. Relaxed but not hyper. Alert but not hyper alert. See, all that comes from experiences that really put us on the ledge. Your third fingers invite you to just drive yourself right down to them and be with third fingers touching. And somewhere along the way, as you're able to start to be with third fingers touching, you'll recognize, I'm able to be with myself. And as you start to be with yourself, little by little, your nervous system, it's like your nervous system is so relieved that your mind is starting to connect the dots to this, see the benefits of it. And it's not just the meditation. It's breathing in and breathing out. It's the breath work. Make your exhales longer and slower, and your inhales will come in a lot easier, a lot more fluid, in a calm way. And that'll give a bridge. It'll bridge the gap between the mind and body being disconnected or the mind and body plugging back in to team up. Funnel your focus into your pinky fingers touching. There was a time to be with the third fingers, and there's a time to be with the thumbs. And there was a time for yesterday to show up in its fullness, and now it's about today. There was a time for last year to show up, and 5 years ago, and 3 years ago. But it's 2017. It's March 20th. And today deserves a full shot. For it to be with you and you to be with it. Feel your pinky fingers touching. Right here, right now. All our thoughts are usually tethered to a merry-go-round of old, of the past, or they're racing to the future. What if you were to just kind of give up a little bit of that old? What if you were to be more about right here, right now? Pinky fingers are touching. Be with yourself. Be with me. Pinky fingers touching. You can trail off up in your thoughts. And then you might say, oh yeah, it's been safer. It's been safer for me to not be embodied in my body. But boy, when you just get a taste of that, you touch down, so to speak, pinky fingers touching, and you're like, wow, I'm really with that physical feeling of connection. Oh my God, not only can I feel that, but it feels good. It feels good, right? To not be on the merry-go-round, to not be in... Oftentimes when we have a lot of experience of trauma or crisis or just unsettled, we get really used to that in a way that feels like home. Like for a long time, it used to feel more at home to me to be out of body, to be there but not there. And I guess I did that the way a child does it. A child doesn't know how to escape, you know? So they kind of get lost in their thoughts, and then someone says, hey, are you listening? Like you're there, but not there. But man, when you can show up like, wow, I'm fully here, like, God damn, that's powerful. when you're off that merry-go-round and you're like, I am in my bones, you realize your body was never the enemy. And your thinking mind isn't the enemy either. Like, you don't want to punish yourself or criticize yourself or think your mind is your enemy. Your mind says, you gave me all this to think about. Or you had a frightened experience that never got any healing, and it's kept bringing you into a familiarity of crisis energy. And when we're kids, a lot can go down and we don't have a lot of choice or power in it. And sometimes we can forget that. We have choice and we have power as adults. And all we need to do is get clear to that again. Your pinky fingers are still touching. If your mind was like a windshield caked with mud, isn't it hard to see? Things aren't clear. If all you see is the trees and you can't see the bigger picture of the whole forest, everything stays really muddled. And if you're not in your body, then the energy of you isn't really strong. And so a lot can happen on the outside as a result. It's like it can feel like a bully or something. Or easily intimidated. Or, oh, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, so I can't say this or that. And the truth is being in your body, coming back home, when you get in your driver's seat of being connected to your body, you're so powerful. And that energy speaks for itself. All 10 fingers are touching. So today I invite you to move away from the old, to come away a little clearer, and most importantly, can you be with yourself? And when you have a thought comes in that's harsh, critical, like inner critic, when you have the opinion of somebody else tell you, this is what you better do, this is what you better not do, or else, can you recognize that that's the energy of fight or flight? And can you take a breath out? And can you come back to yourself? Can you get quiet? Can you recognize that you are empowered a little more today just because you sat inside yourself a little more deeply than just your usual surface thinking? You went somewhere beyond, even for just a little bit. Even if it was just for a moment, you got to go somewhere beyond whatever's going on in your head, whatever you decide, whatever you told yourself, whatever others told you. Like, you got a little space from that. That's empowering right there. Your life sometimes will shake you to your core, drop you to your knees. But can you look at that almost like an opportunity to decide to be a stand and rise back up, to get back into your body, your presence and participation for your life to be what it could be, what it wants to be, what it aches to be, is simply waiting on you. My healing, my path, all of it, my presence, my participation, my voice in my life is requested. And when we've had experiences in the past where we really felt helpless or powerless or afraid, then usually the outcome wasn't what we would have preferred, because we couldn't show up. And my hope is, if you were scared to show up today, may we have shifted you out of that energy and into the energy of being more in your body, more synced up mind to body, and more empowered in your own nervous system. Today is a new day. And what happens tomorrow is based on what we're going to do right here, right now. Go get your life. Go take your life back from wherever it tripped you up or made you want to run, escape. Stand back up and show back up. And watch the old quickly repair itself, the old energies of fight or flight. Allow this an opportunity for your mind to be repaired, to be restored, to be mended. Instead of looking at it like your mind is an enemy, see like your mind, your thinking mind, trauma mind, fight or flight mind, paranoid mind, anxious mind. It's all really just fear. And so bring compassion like you would to a small child. Bring it to your internal dialogue. Bring it to your thinking mind. Healing. It's about healing. I'll see you again.